Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly tarot card reading, and I'm using my Osho Zen Tarot deck for this reading. All right, so before I get into the reading, I just want to say that my intention with this reading is to get an overview or a snapshot kind of some of the themes coming up in the week ahead, just to get an idea of, what kind of energies we can tap into, what we can take advantage of, and if there's anything we need to be aware of. So we've got 3 cards here. The first card is going to represent Monday and Tuesday of the upcoming week. And here we have the Fool. And I love getting this card at the beginning of the week. The Fool, to me, I just get this feeling of relief when I see the Fool, because this is about almost like a fresh start, a new beginning. And I feel like there's so much possibility inherent in this card. So the Fool is represented by 0, and that 0 is a symbol of a couple of things. I feel like the 0 symbolizes, in a way, it symbolizes nothingness, and in that nothingness is infinite possibilities. And at the same time, I see that 0 as almost being like a portal into the next phase of life, or the next phase of your life, or taking the next step and going through that gateway. I guess a portal is a gateway. So what does the Fool mean for us this week? The Fool calls for you to be optimistic. The Fool is an optimist. And this card really calls for you to tap into your optimism this week. And don't be afraid to, what's the word I'm looking for? The Fool is all about, putting your best foot forward and maybe taking a risk, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. And the Fool doesn't guarantee that things are going to work in your favor. The Fool is really about almost like throwing caution to the wind, putting your best foot forward, maybe taking a risk. And when I say taking a risk, what I mean is, how do I word this? It's more about sort of being more authentic. It's not about actually literally jumping off a cliff. It's not really about those kinds of risks. It's about personal risks, being authentic, maybe saying how you feel, or even, signing up for a course that you've been kind of wanting to do, but you keep putting off. I guess that doesn't sound very risky, but taking those mini steps towards things can sometimes feel risky, even if they aren't. So this is about really kind of putting your best foot forward and really cultivating optimism more than anything. That's what I'm getting from this card. And I feel like this relates to relationships. And I don't know why, but that's just popping in my head. And really assuming the best in people instead of assuming the worst in people. So really being like the Fool here. So the Fool is, like I said, he's kind of starry-eyed. He's optimistic. He's really positive. And when he meets someone for the first time, he isn't suspicious of them, which in a way is somewhat foolish. So there is a foolishness to his naivete and optimism as well. But this is about really assuming the best in people and expecting the best in people instead of expecting the worst. So let's move on to the middle of the week. The middle of the week represents Wednesday and Thursday. And here we have 8 of Water, or 8 of Cups. And this is all about letting go and release. Now, in the Rider-Waite version of this card, there's a stack of cups, almost like a kind of a pyramid of cups, and there's someone walking off into the distance. And this can be about leaving something behind. Now, I feel like this is about something to do with emotions, And I mean, it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But I feel like this is about letting go of something emotionally. And again, I feel like this relates again to relationships, and not necessarily romantic relationships, just relationships in general and the way that we relate to each other. It's about letting go. And what's interesting is we start with the Fool, and the Fool is about, moving forward on your path, being optimistic and being willing to embrace something new, being willing to get out of your comfort zone and do something, even if it might feel kind of uncomfortable. And letting go, it's almost like in doing this, you can't have a whole bunch of baggage. If you're going to be optimistic and if you're going to move forward, you can't move forward if you have a ton of baggage, whether that's physical baggage, whether that's emotional baggage, mental baggage, whatever baggage you've got going on. We've all got some baggage. So it's like, once you start walking on that path this week, it's almost like it's going to feel natural that you're going to want to let go of some things. And these are things that are in some way holding you back or weighing you down. So a question to ask yourself this week is, what can I let go of here? What can I release? And it might be a line of thinking. It might be a particular thought that you keep having, or something more emotionally. It may be some emotional pain that you've been holding on to for a long time. And I mean, it could also be physical stuff. This could be more mundane in terms of getting rid of clutter, letting go of things that you no longer need in your life anymore. So it's going to look a little bit different for everyone. But ultimately, this act of letting go frees you up, and it frees you up emotionally, even if whatever you let go of was a physical thing. So even if you just like got rid of, all the junk in your storage unit or whatever, it's going to free you up on an emotional level as well. And then when we get to the end of the week, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have Patience, which is 7 of Rainbows, also known as 7 of Pentacles. All right. So what I'm getting with this card is that you maybe have been wanting change like yesterday. And where you want to be right now and where you are two different things. And it can be sometimes painful to see that stark contrast and, what's happening right now, where I am right now, what I'm experiencing right now, and where I would like to be and how I would like things to be. There's a bit of a difference between that. And you aren't going to get from one place to the other place overnight. It's a process. It's going to take patience. And I don't mean to keep bringing up the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, this card is represented by a guy who's gardening, and he's planted seeds and he's kind of staring at his garden, waiting for it to grow. And it's this idea that changes are happening below the surface. And with this card, there's a pregnant woman. So she's growing a fetus or a baby in her belly. And you can't really see all the changes that are happening. It's happening, inside of her body. And it's not ready to come forward yet. And so with change, no matter what kinds of changes you're wanting to make, whether it's global change, whether it's change at the local level or at the personal level, there's this period of time where things are happening under the surface. It's like what I call like a gestation time. It's where things are happening under the surface and they aren't necessarily seen with the naked eye. And so sometimes it feels like change isn't happening. Like, have you ever wanted to manifest something or make something happen and you put all this work in and you still don't see any results? But then, months later, you start to see results. And it's that time in between that's so difficult, from when you've put in the effort to when you're actually going to see results. So the message here is take a deep breath, relax, and know that change is happening beneath the surface, and it may not be obvious yet, but it will be over time. Okay, so I'm going to quickly look at these 3 cards together and just see if there's anything else that I want to add. It feels to me the message is so strong. It's about being optimistic, looking for the good in people, letting go of anything that you feel is keeping you stuck, holding you back. Particularly, I think this is about moving the emotions and giving yourself permission to experience those emotions. And sometimes we don't if it's a difficult emotion. We want to avoid it. Like yesterday, I felt so down and depressed, and I spent the whole day trying to distract myself. And then I told myself, today, if that feeling comes up, I'm going to just go into it, and I'm going to really allow myself to feel that feeling and explore what its message is, why I'm experiencing it, what its message is for me, rather than just constantly try to distract myself. And then since I gave myself permission to do that, that feeling hasn't come up, ironically. So yeah, I feel like, optimism, seeing the good in people, maybe doing a little bit of emotional release work, letting go of some things, and then really patience. I think we all need a little more patience. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good week. Please feel free to share your own interpretation of these cards in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your take on these cards and these images. So thank you so much, and have a good week.